think I speak for all of us when I say that song slaps.
Oh, it slaps. It slaps so hard, it hurt my face just looking at it.
And speaking of songs and slapping,
I'm Erin.
And I'm Dan.
And together we are Riley. And we are so excited to be hosting Trainer Talks.
Oh, but
tonight.
I think you'll find we'll be putting on a clinic here this evening. We already drank half a fifth of whiskey.
We haven't had that much whiskey.
She hasn't had that much whiskey. I told her I was going to the gym earlier. I just swung by the local watering hole and threw a few dozen back.
Don't drink and dance though, because this topic today is all about dance. My favorite subject. I would say in the arts, it's my favorite subject. May not be my favorite subject in the world, although it's definitely top 5.
Mine's stonemasonry.
Stonemasonry. Is that so?
Yep. Which is the bastard cousin of dance.
Ah, I see. Well, I never knew that, but that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited. I'm going to have to get you a stonemason.
She's excited. She's excited. And I'm
flustered.
excited. Yeah. Well, this is Trainer Talks. You're tuning in because you know about a system that we now know is called TRAINcycle.
And what TRAINcycle is it was started by Liz May earlier this year. It's actually been a brainchild of her for years in her head. And when COVID-19 happened, it was just the perfect opportunity to spring this into action. And basically, it connects trainers and individuals in artists and things like that with the education community. So there are so many amazing people. Please make sure that after the Trainer Talk, don't go now because you don't want to miss these amazing panelists coming up. But after the Trainer Talk, go onto their website and check out all of the people there. There's singers, actors, dancers, musicians, sound engineers.
Photographers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Dan. He's a trainer in photography.
Yeah, well, you know.
And he does not drink on the job. Should you hire him to teach you how to do photography?
Let's play 2 truths and a lie.
Speaking of 2 truths and a lie, we have 3 of them waiting for us right now.
Wait, 3 of 2 truths and a lie?
We do. We have
3 lies.
Guests.
Oh, guests.
Oh, yeah. Our first guest is from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She is an incredible dancer, an amazing performer, and a beautiful soul.
Please put your hands together, or don't. No one will know because we're all at home.
But do it anyway.
Yeah, do it anyway. Please welcome Natalie Calvano.
Hello. Hey guys.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You look lovely in your apartment or your house or your
studio. In the basement.
Oh, and it is yours, right?
It is.
And you don't need help?
It's the workout room / art room / you're on TV, on the computer.
Yeah, there you go.
I love it. Well, Natalie, thanks so much for joining us. I love dance. It's that used to be a dance competition. I don't know if you all remember.
I Love Dance.
I Love Dance.
It's like they added a bunch of people. Hey guys, let's get the first idea you could possibly come up with for the title of this thing. And someone was like, "How about I Love Dance?" And they were like, "That's all the time we have."
Exactly.
That's it.
So, Natalie, tell us about how you got started into dance and where your journey's taken you as a dancer.
Well, I'm the owner and artistic director of the Ballet and Performing Arts Center here in Winston-Salem, and we're celebrating our 26th year this season. So that's very, very exciting. I grew up dancing, was a little tot, and then, just went in summer intensives. Like each summer I wanted to go somewhere and, further my experiences more. And I ended up going to Meredith College in Raleigh for a couple of years. Was in their dance theater, and then transferred to UNC Greensboro. So I ended up getting my my BFA in dance from UNC Greensboro, which I really loved and had great experiences there. So straight out of college, I decided that I would own a dance studio, wanted to open one. So that's what I did. Didn't know a whole lot of things when I was like 22.
Same.
Running a business. But I've learned.
Good.
That's the way to do it. Jumping in and starting things is just like how things happen. I think a lot of people sit at home waiting for that right moment or that right opportunity or when they have enough knowledge, and you just went for it. I think that's great.
That's not how I roll.
There very rarely is a right moment, and I want to talk a little bit about that later, but let's get some other panelists up here for now.
We are so excited about our next panelist, this young man.
Is panelist the correct word?
Are we going
with guests or panelists?
Oh, what do you think, Natalie?
Oh, I like panelists.
Great.
Me too.
Yeah.
Panelists. It sounds schnomsy.
Right.
Schnomsy.
So if you would like, please welcome the most handsome guy that we have in our panelists today. You're not a panelist, Dan.
Okay.
This guy is an amazing dancer. We've had the opportunity to work with him as a choreographer for Spring Theater, and we've seen some of his work online as well. I'm dying to get to one of his dance shows because he can move, man.
And he's also freshly married.
Mm-hmm.
Freshly, hot off the grill. Guys, please welcome Jordan Booker Medley.
Yay.
Hello, Jordan.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm great. I love the introduction. Thank you. That was everything. I love that.
Well, that's what we came up with, so you're welcome.
We are so excited to see you tonight. Jordan, where are you joining us from this evening?
I'm home. I'm in my back room. That will soon be a new office space. It was a bedroom, but we decided we didn't need another one, so let's make an office.
That's good.
I love that. That's fantastic. Jordan, what got you into the world of dance?
A lot, actually. I didn't start out wanting to be a dancer at all. I actually started out playing the violin and thought that I was going to be a musician for all of my life, and that is obviously not what happened. After getting into going to high school, I went to a performing arts high school where I decided that I wanted to try dance. I joined musical theater and pretty much had some great teachers that really inspired me, and the rest is history. I kind of decided from that point on that some aspect of dance was in my future, and I really, really wanted to continue to pursue it. So I decided I took some time off from high school. After graduating high school, I took some time off. Didn't go to college right away, but did perform and take classes on the side, and decided to go to college and went to UNC School of the Arts here in Winston-Salem, good old Winston-Salem, and majored in contemporary dance there. Graduated in 2018 with my BFA, and have been choreographing and dancing and teaching ever since.
Amazing.
Love that.
That's great. I hear you just got back from a trip as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I went to Disney World. It was the most amazing experience ever. It was my first time ever going. And
Really?
Yeah, ever. It was my first time ever, and it was such a magical experience. They really do, even during COVID, like you would think it may be a little sketch, but it was actually really great. I felt very safe, very comfortable, and the magic was still there. So I was really happy about that.
I think that the masks and the separation from the characters is probably how Walt would have wanted it.
You never know.
First experience.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, Jordan, please wave down to Natalie. And we have another amazing panelist to bring on. Now, this young woman has been in my life for years and 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 years. She's an amazing, incredible, not only dancer, but mother of 4 now. It used to be 1, and then it was 2, and then they just kept coming. I love her kids. And she also has an amazing studio in Winston-Salem. Please give a virtual welcome to
Kay Partridge.
Hello.
How are you guys?
How are you?
Good.
Oh, I've never been better in my entire life.
Excellent.
You're looking great with that beautiful red juxtaposition behind you. Kay, Juxtaposition is your studio. How did that all get started?
Did you know?
Did I know? No, I did not. Oh my goodness. Well, Juxtaposition Studios birthed from Spring Theater, is what we like to say. Yes, because Erin and I have known each other, I think, like 7 years now. So
your kids, like my weird step grandchildren or something?
Yeah, maybe like
no.
Aunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a little much. Yes. So where did I start with dance? Probably in the womb, because my mother would play the Nutcracker through a cassette, and she would say that I would dance. So by the time that I was out and walking, I was dancing. And I grew up in Charlotte City Ballet, and it was a great experience. And then there's other avenues that I took within the dance community in Charlotte, and there was a lot of, like, you're too short, and you don't fit the typical dance body type. And so I didn't really give up, but I always had in the back of my mind that I'm not going to treat my students that way. I want everybody to be able to dance. So it's always been for everybody and everybody. And
I love that, by the way. That is good branding, and
Mhm.
it's so true. It is who you are, Kay, and I love that so much.
and I just, yeah. So I I had no intention of going to school for dance. I was going to do nursing or nutrition. And then I went to go take a ballet class, and my instructor, Molly, she was like, "You need to dance." And I was like, "Okay, well, life's too short, so let's do this." So, with me, I just dive in and do things. So I dove into dance as, my college education. And then had baby number one, moved back from California to North Carolina and taught at a studio locally. Was like, hated dance, never wanted to teach again. And then I found you, and you sparked the passion back again in teaching, and then juxtaposition birthed from that.
So she sparked the passion of dance in you, and you love dance. Does that make me like the great grandfather of the entire medium?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I'll never forget one of the first conversations Kay and I had, because we both we grew up in studios that were very competition driven. And it always made us sad, both of us, that sometimes competition is like at the forefront of many dance instructors and things like that. And it's just not what it's all about. And like teaching the techniques and teaching the passion is something that's so much more important than going home or not going home with the trophy. And I think that that's one of the things I love about juxtaposition.
That's what I
Well,
love about it too.
so many people that we're now going to talk to. And this is a free-form discussion, and it's going to be a really good time because you guys all come from different backgrounds. You all have different skill sets, and but you all have the same passion in life.
Let's start by just throwing some questions out there, and people who want to answer it can answer it, and people who don't, just answer the question.
And also, if you're watching in the audience, we would love for you to ask any of these people your questions about anything related to dance. We'll get things kicked off.
And you got to type it in. You can't just shout at your screen, Grandpa.
Yeah.
And first of all, let's start with a question that I think is kind of a good question to start any conversation right now. And I know that all three of you will have a good answer for this, but what are you doing with your business and your passion and your trajectory, what with COVID making organized dance and performance a challenge? Very good. Good night, everybody. Anybody who wants to can jump in first. Good night, everybody.
So, yeah, things have been really different this year. We went back to dance in September after having a break in the summer, which we normally have camps going on. But so we went back in September. We always perform a Nutcracker, a full-length Nutcracker at Reynolds in December. And we were determined to do that. So we actually did everything as a solo for our Nutcracker this year. So we wouldn't have anybody, dancers coming in and out of pieces. And all of our classes were set up kind of like pods. So it's kind of like a bubble. You're in your bubble, like you come Monday and Wednesday, you're in your bubble. You never go to another bubble, and nobody comes into your bubble. You're always with the same people in your bubble.
That sounds like my therapist.
Yeah, really.
Right. So anyway, we made it work. We were really nervous about live streaming from Reynolds, but we decided, because I didn't have much knowledge about live stream, and we were going to get someone to help us. So what we decided to do is just film the performance, and then we streamed it through Vimeo, and it was great. It worked out, and we're very happy, and the kids were so happy to be back in the theater and to be on stage and to have a little bit of normalcy back in their lives.
So were they recording together, or was it like they came in like one at a time and recorded their parts?
Yeah, so we had everybody split up. We were socially distanced, and so we did the rehearsal, and then we filmed it. So we had enough space in the theater to have everybody in there at one time. But yeah. It was an abbreviated version as well. Usually we do the full length, like I said, but this year we called it In a Nutshell because it was abbreviated.
That's cute. That's
cute.
cute. I wish I'd done that.
So yeah, it was, we usually do like a school performance where we invite, it's a 45-minute performance where we invite the kids in from the school systems to come watch. And so it was kind of like that, except for no audience and just film and then live stream.
Very cool.
Streaming, not live, but streaming.
I love that. It's so important to do performances. You know, so many people right now, a lot of our friends and professionals are just like, we're waiting in the wings. We're waiting in the wings. And like, it takes a lot of bravery to just go out there and do stuff because it is not easy. And it is not what we've been doing our entire lives.
I think people are starting to pick themselves up by the bootstraps, so to speak, and really start to push content out there, which is really nice. Around the end of the year, it started, and I think we're going to carry that through this season. Kay, as an instructor with a studio based on instruction, what is your, that doesn't work probably in the same way as performance would in a digital medium. What have you been doing?
Well, between still keeping my regular classes at the studio and a lot of private lessons, I've been teaching in the childcare center and preschool that my children go to. So like with the pods, my germs are all over that church. So they're like, why not? So I get to go out in the community, in a sense, and be able to still teach movement to them. And that's, yeah. So I still have lots of littles. And then in the studio, there's a lot more littles than there are, the older kids. Because, yeah, there's just a lot more fear in that.
And have you been doing virtual classes as well?
Yes. So we'll do virtual and in person at the same time, which is a huge struggle. And I mean, that's what the school system's doing. So I feel for those teachers who are having to do that every day with the kindergartners. Hello, little Johnny, like, are you going to pay attention? And, oh, hey, class, no, don't be doing that over there. Yeah. And so, making sure that everyone feels special. It's a lot of work. So, and then keeping everybody, spatially distanced and everything, which we have lovely stickers on the floor, and it's like, go find your red spot. and we make it a game so that everybody, has fun with it.
That's so good.
Cool.
That's so good. And it's important, I think, for kids, especially to have that social interaction, even if it is 6 feet away and masked. It's so important to just be able to say hi to your friends and be doing the same thing in the same room. So kudos for that, big time.
Jordan, you're definitely I would consider you a freelancer. Would you consider yourself a freelancer?
Yes, I would.
So how has that been going for you? That's a whole different game altogether.
That's a good question. So I've actually decided to I've not partially decided, mostly been forced, to really spend this time actually going back into some of the old things that I was working on, like old solos and some old work, and really just kind of look at it, evaluate, kind of decide if I want to continue to develop it. I've been doing a lot of that, which has been extremely helpful for me because I have some major plans after, things start to clear up, to kind of produce my own solo man show. So it's been really helpful for me to kind of dig back into my original work, some of the things I've been working on, and being able to give myself notes. I've done a lot of that. I've been living vicariously through TikTok dancers because the dances are great. Like, I've actually spent some time and posted a video or two. Don't go look for them. But
I'm not gonna.
Can you put his TikTok handle up on the screen, please?
Can we also just acknowledge that both Kay and Natalie gave you a sincerely judgmental look when you both of them were like, "Oh." I've been
living through them because it's so much fun. And it's just been keeping me inspired to continue moving during a time like this, when it's not as easy to find studio space or get into a classroom to move around, or just to kind of, I did spend some time in the studio recently by myself, was able to find some space and just move around and just kind of get back in a flow. But I've really I've also been preparing myself. I've been kind of getting a sense of what I want to do. Again, as I said, as things clear up, so I've been kind of making a list of prospects and looking at some potential auditions for things. Or places to send my portfolio and do some choreography. So I have some projects down the line. And so it's really just been kind of refining my brand, refining who I am, what I do, and also resting like crazy, taking a break because dance is stressful. It's tough on the body, but we love it.
I have to say, I think that working on yourself is something that every single artist can do. And by the way. Yeah. During what happened?
I just shrunk.
Your chair went down.
Nope, shrunk.
I think that it's so important, though. Like, a lot of people are sitting on the couch and eating Doritos. I mean, trust me, we're doing that too.
I've got some dry plans later to do something similar.
But I think that, you know, now that we've been in this for so long, and it's not just a year-long vacation, unpaid. I think that, you know, even if there's not work out there right now, Jordan, I think you're doing the right thing, working on yourself, going back and revisiting things, and like taking the time to analyze and do those things that we as artists are always like, oh, if only I had the time to,
Time is a gift. Of all the things that COVID's taken, it is, in some cases, granted obligatory time to think and wonder what you can do.
Very true. You know, one of the things that you had said on the end of your video that you did for our show a few weeks ago was, you know, it's not been an easy year, but I think that this has been a year that really has kind of
Oh no.
They're frozen.
No.
Just the three of us. So now we have to
Hey.
continue.
All right, we got to do this ourselves, guys.
They're frozen.
Oh no. I guess we'll give it time and see.
We're just gonna, you know, wait a few minutes to see if they pop back on.
Yeah. Whoops.
So if anybody out there has questions.
Well, hey, this is my first time meeting you, Natalie, but I've known Kay. So hey, Natalie.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I met Kay the other day on here, so yeah.
Oh, are they back?
They're back.
We were never gone. We just wanted to see what you would say about us while we were.
Oh, no, we're going to continue. We're going to continue. We were committed.
That was a test, and you all passed.
so glad.
Like they're gone.
Did you
Oh,
guys
and our
answer my
viewership-
question? I'm
We
hearing.
did not hear what
We
you
didn't hear what
said.
you were saying.
Probably for the best.
Thanks to our viewers who have stuck with us. We appreciate
In fact,
it.
since we left the show, our viewership has gone up 14,000%.
Wow.
Mm.
How do you calculate that?
I'm quick. Coming back with a math TRAINcycle trainer talk next week.
Well, I'm not sure where I left off. I kept talking. Dan can affirm. But
And she always
No,
will.
it was about at the end of your last show when I was talking, and it was
yeah, basically, okay, good. So basically, you know, Kay was saying like it's amazing what you can do and how you can adapt to things when it's what you truly want. And I believe that this pandemic has made us all realize a little bit more of what we truly want. You guys would not be sitting here today if you didn't truly want to be dancers and truly want to be influencers in dance. And so I was just kind of like wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, about how you have kept your passion going during a time when there's not live shows to go perform at. And that's the easy part when life is open. So yeah, that's something that, go for it, Kay.
well. The feedback that I've gotten from my students is that I keep things fresh and fun, and that they keep learning new things. And so, because we do 6-week sessions right now, and so it's like at any point, you know, that after those 6 weeks, you know, they may not come back. And so, you know, I've had great retainment, like 99.9%, because like one of the moms went to go have a baby. So, you know, the older sibling's not here right now. But yeah, it's about keeping things fresh and fun. And then literally doing whatever you need to do to keep your passion and your drive going. I mean, like I have another job and I'm out of the house about 13 hours a day because I want my studio to work. I want it to still be here after the pandemic. So it's like I will fight tooth and nail for it.
Respect. Love that.
Passion.
That's amazing.
Love that. And just to the other two, if you guys want to, and no pressure if you don't want to, but is there anything that you find easy if someone out there is finding they're losing passion or trajectory on there? How do you stoke your fires? I guess Jordan kind of said TikTok.
Yeah, I have some. So for me, personally, what's been helping me kind of keep the passion going, I have two things. One, I work as an arts administrator with the Arts Council of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. And so I get to work with artists every day. And so it's really nice, and it helps to keep my passion alive, to continue to help support them in their artistic practice through grants and programming. That's for sure, just being able to have conversations with them every day about how they're managing to pivot during a time like this, or how they're maintaining their own passion and their own livelihood. It's really insightful and it's extremely inspiring to me. And it's kept me going. It makes me, like I said, it kind of drives me to kind of be like, okay, what are you going to do after this is said and done? Like, start planning ahead, strategic thinking, strategic planning. And so, yeah, absolutely connecting with my artistic community is absolutely my number one thing that's kept me passionate. Number two, I have another one. Number two will definitely have to also be talking to my artistic friends, my friends that are currently, struggling and going through their own trials, being able to just talk and unpack with one another and just talk about the reality of what's happening right now in the United States with arts, and talk about how hard it is, but also encourage one another to keep going. Because it's not the end. It's just I don't know how we want to define it, but it's just a temporary pause. We're just
intermission.
The show.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice, Dan.
That's I like that, Dan. But yeah, those are my two for sure.
Well, that's awesome, and I think the big takeaway there is something that Erin has been harping on since I met her nonstop. She won't stop.
Which is what exactly?
Community.
Yeah. Community is so important. It's amazing how that it's my favorite word. It really is my favorite word. I say a lot of favorites, but community is really what everything is all about, because like even just, the three of you, seeing you all here together, I'm a dancer too. And I've been doing some asynchronous lessons. And the reason I got that idea was from a mutual friend of mine and Kay's, Amy Turner, who's doing it with her piano students. And basically the asynchronous thing is just like recording a video, sending it to the student sends it back and records a little video and sends it back, and it's been working. And I have a student that started with me. I've never taught her in person, and she's great now. And it's kind of amazing that like we've never tapped in the same room ever, and yet we're making this happen. So it's on our own time. Honestly, it's something that I hope continues long after the pandemic, because it's super cool that you can do it on your own time and things like that. But community is the number one thing. I saw something come in about what was the question? What has changed your life for the better? How has dance changed your life for the better? Natalie, I don't know if you have an inspiring story, but how has dance changed your life for the better?
That's a good question. I kind of feel like, well, you mentioned community, but just seeing the kids each week and at each performance, it just gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling. And then to see them progress every year, it just gives you that sense of, okay, we've accomplished, they've accomplished quite a bit, within a semester or a year, or, from age 3 to being a senior. So, I think the kids really, they've changed my life. I don't have kids of my own. So I always say, I have a lot of kids at my studio, which they're great. They're awesome.
I feel that so hard. Actually, I don't have kids because I'm not a magic woman like Kay, who like pops out a baby and is back at work like 3 days later.
Let's not be graphic. Okay.
Yeah. The first time Kay was running the spring dance studio way back in the day, and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a baby," and I'm like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And she's like, "I've got it covered." I'm like, "But what are we going to do?" And she's like, "Here's my schedule. Baby's coming out on this day. I'll be back on this day. Here's who's covering me on these days." And I was like,
I heard she was teaching a ballet lesson, and they told the kids to take a 10, and she was back with a baby in her arms at the end of the water break.
Pretty close.
It was close. I think Judah came to meet everybody at 11 days old. Harvey came to meet everybody at 9. No, I'm sorry. He was 5 days old.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, Amelia, she would have been in here immediately, but, pandemic and all. So.
And it's great. So you guys have all had experience, obviously, working with kids and seeing them grow over the years and stuff. I think that to me is like you were saying, Natalie, it's so cool to see the progression. What have you seen not only in the movement and things that has happened on the stage, but what have you seen dance and how it affects kids and students of all ages off the stage and when they're not dancing?
I think they all get very sad. I know my high schoolers were completely just bummed over the summer, and it was just up in the air. Are we going to get to go back to the studio? Are we going to get to dance? And then finally, when we were able to get back in the studio. It's like, it was great. And they missed it. And, all those little maybe issues during class that you may have had with talking and, maybe not getting along with someone. We really, really respected each other.
A dose of perspective.
I mean, it was, it's just bringing everyone back together. And, when something is taken away, you get it back. And then it just makes you feel so good inside, like warm fuzzies.
So I just would like to, at this point, kind of just open this up to more of a nebulous conversation and we got about 25 minutes left. And I kind of just want to open this up to maybe just a more of a short form discussion with everybody. If you could all talk at the same time, we'll see whose microphone works best for the Zoom platform. And that will be the person who's heard. Real quick, if you guys were to offer, like, I don't know, if you had one, sort of, not even an elevator pitch, but an elevator phrase, just like one of those things that you'd see hanging on a panel of unfinished wood in a kitchen. But it was about like the most useful thing for an aspiring dancer.
I love that.
Yeah.
The most useful thing for an aspiring dancer.
One sentence.
I mean, I would just use my motto: evolve, evoke, and inspire.
I have.
You just said it. I don't know. Evolve, evoke, inspire.
I have a pitch, but it's not like a sentence. It's a little bit more than a sentence. But I usually say my biggest thing is trust the process, for sure. But also that dance is a journey of self-discovery, confidence building, and also what was the other one? Jeez, self-discovery, confidence building, and perseverance. That's what it was, for sure.
Cool. Well, that was like a run-on sentence. So
yeah.
Good on.
Commitment and conviction. Be committed to your craft and do it with as much conviction as you can.
I love that. So something that I think a lot of people struggle with when they're trying something new or even trying something old in a public forum is just fear of failure and fear of especially. So my thing is I tap dance with Aaron, but generally speaking, I am an absolutely horrible dancer.
He's not a horrible dancer. And this is what cracks me up, because when I first heard about Dan, I was like, great, you're going to come and we're going to perform.
When she first heard about me, you hear that? People hear about me.
I was like, great, you're going to come and you're going to perform and you're going to sing and dance. It'll be like, and he's like, well, I don't dance. And I'm like, but you will dance. Don't worry about it. Same with my very first letters from home partner, Sarah Haley. She was like, I don't dance. And I'm like, you could dance. Don't worry about it. I promise you that every single person watching out there, I promise you can dance. I do not care if you have lost both your legs. I don't care if you have been told.
She may not care, but I care.
I care. I don't care if you've been told by 10 people you can't dance. Dan couldn't wait to go back to his college and see his professor, who did not let him dance in
she let me dance. In fact, she encouraged it. It was my job. But I wanted to go back and see my cat professor. She was out of town, so that was fortunate for both of us, I guess.
But I think that, if you're out there and you're like, I've tried it before and it doesn't work, I do know some uninspiring teachers. I know people that have gotten into the system, or so to speak, that are competitively driven or who have lost the actual drive and the heart for the craft. And I've seen kids and adults go into classes and they've been like, oh, I can't keep up, or I'm too scared, or I can't do it, or I've been told I can't do it. If you're one of those people and you're like, I always wished I could, I promise you, these people can help you out. Because it really just takes finding the right person. I believe that with my whole soul.
So how would you respond? I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Agreed.
Oh, don't you do a class that is for folks with special needs and disabilities and things like that as well, just to let them move in the way that they can?
Yes. We were in the beginning of, what was it, last season? Yeah. It was everybody dance.
I love that. It's so important. Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing that I was kind of wondering about before is not just during COVID, but in other times when you're dancers, I have this in theater when all my kids come to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to be a star, but that's not what they want. They want to go be a veterinarian, or they want to, you know, go be a doctor or a lawyer, or whatever their path takes them on. But I truly believe that dance is something for everyone, because it doesn't just help you on stage. I think that it helps you with, well, posture is one thing.
Discipline.
Yep, absolutely. What are some other things?
Getting
that,
outside of yourself, freeing up the body, pulling your hamstrings, huh? Come on.
I mean, it's great for your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
The most attractive people I've ever met, physically and emotionally, have all been dancers, and they're all in this room.
Thank you.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, I think that also working together with choreography is something that I kind of wanted to talk about, the process, because all three of you are choreographers. And in very different styles, very different ways. You know, I worked with Jordan last year. Was it only last year? No.
Right.
Mm-mm.
It feels like, yeah.
The year before last.
2 years ago, yeah.
He was the choreographer for our production of The Lion King, and he is such a different choreographer than me. I usually come in with all of my notes, and I'm like, okay, this section is here, this section is there, this section is here. I've worked with other choreographers who are just like, let's go with the flow, man, and choreograph. So talk about a little bit about, like, when you go to choreograph a piece, what's your process? Because every process is so different, and I find it fascinating.
I guess I could start since you mentioned me, I guess. In terms of process, I like a hybrid of the two. I think that one of the biggest things for me going into the room is collaboration. I really think that it's important, especially working with young students, I guess. Collaboration seems really key for me, just to keep them motivated and invested in the process. As opposed to, I mean, some of them prefer that you come in and you just have choreography and steps for them. They don't want to do the work and like participate with you. But I think I bring a different energy to the room, and they want to get involved. And so I think for me, in terms of process, I know for me, collaboration is key. And I do like to come into the space with an idea of what I want to do, but not entirely having it drawn out, because, you know,
Cool.
Dance is one of those things. It's a living thing, and it changes and moves with us all the time. And so I feel that way even in the space. And so as I'm creating, I like to be able to have the flexibility to say, you know, to myself, okay, we're feeling this, let's go there, as opposed to, well, we got to make this fit in the eights, in the 8 count, otherwise it's not gonna work. Because, you know, things change. You feel differently every time you walk into the room. The music may drive you a different direction. So and also for my process, music tends, for me, I like to create in silence before I introduce the music. I love that. I do listen to the music, of course, but I like to move in silence and just kind of embody it and get a sense of how my body will move, and kind of get my students moving in that same way. And before we add music as a layer, because I think there's an anticipation that comes immediately when you start playing it. Students they're looking for the sounds, they're looking for the rhythms, they're looking for things, as opposed to I like to kind of steer their attention and their energy in one way first, and then see how they bounce back, and see how they, after they have something inside, they have a movement, they have a rhythm, an idea, see how they kind of play with that now when you add another layer, and see what evolves from that, and let that guide itself as well, because, you know, they could start doing something that they feel, and it feels cool with the music, it looks good, so I'm like, let's do that, let's go with that, scrap what I did. So I, you know, that's kind of, even with myself, I like to do that as a process, even with my own solo work. I very much love to kind of be in the studio, be silent, move around, and then add the music and see where it takes me.
Interesting.
That's so interesting. I'm so opposite you, which I totally knew that when we started working together.
She will get into a studio and scream and scream and scream while she choreographs.
I won't scream, but I rent Kate all the time when I'm choreographing, and I love to just like put on the music, and then I'll just do stupid stuff. Like a lot of the times I'll just record on my computer, and I will just like move and do weird stuff, and then I'll watch it back and be like, oh, that was kind of cool, and then I'll write that down. Totally the opposite.
So here's a question, and by the way, we're totally freeform now, so if you guys want to go back to a previous thought or anything like that, just whatever. But I was going to ask, do you find, because I know, Jordan, you're largely, I would say, like a contemporary stylist. Great. But if you were doing something, anybody, sort of a ballet structure, would that fall into the same area? Would you be able to go in and kind of shape it on the fly, or is there more of a rigid structure that comes with shaping a ballet piece or anything?
Do you want to tackle it? Because I can say things, but I don't want to tackle. Maybe you want to take over.
I'll talk about this one. So for ballet, like for Nutcracker, I have to be very structured. So I have the music mapped out, and this happens during this section, and then this group comes in, or the solo, or whatever. So it's very structured for me as far as like ballet or listening to the music. Now, if it's something like it's a contemporary piece, and I have older dancers, like high school. In the beginning, I'll have them move to music and kind of collaborate and, kind of break up the sections, but not have everything so set, but kind of like work off of their movement and their feeling about the piece.
Do you ever change mid-rehearsal?
Uh-huh.
I know I've gone and I have this amazing vision in my head sometimes, and I'm like,
last week to do what was the choreography? Because I know you remember, but I don't.
I'm pretty sure it was just 38 tandus in a row, and then we went.
That's it.
Kay, what about you? What's your choreography process?
Well, I normally try to have a story, and then like I won't do anything to music at first, and half the time when I go into something and I have this great idea in my head, like, oh, let's do this and this, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't look right on these bodies, and so it's like, why did I even like waste my time thinking and dreaming of this? So it's literally creating on the spot so that the dancers look the best that they can look. And like with any of my ballet pieces, I still mostly choreograph those on the fly as well. That's just how I've always been.
Cool.
What was I gonna say? There was what did you say about? Oh yes, and then I changed the music so many times. It's like I'll choreograph to that one song, and I'm like, okay, guys, now we're gonna switch it up, and we're gonna do this song. And they're like, oh my gosh, and then they're like, oh my gosh, that was so cool, because if you have the specific step that ends up just organically happening at this crescendo, and everybody gets so excited in the room, so then they're excited about that new song that wasn't even intended for that piece.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Like I used to have like these set counts of 8 all the time, and I'd be like, I'm going to do this. This is a great combination. It got huge applause in that one thing, And I had all these little set things, and I would literally just be like, oh yeah, I can choreograph that in 10 minutes, and I just like take it all. And I remember at one point, I went to go see a show and someone was like, you choreographed that number, didn't you? And I was like, yeah, how'd you know? She's like, I've seen it before. And I was like, and so ever since that moment, like I tried so hard not to take my old 8s. I try to just kind of like feel it, even if I'm like, that would fit there. I try to just like let something organic come out. There's a song that we do in Letters from Home that is super not my style. It was literally something I dreamt about. I don't know if you guys ever dream choreography.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah. Of course.
I was like, that's so cool. And I wrote it down, and Courtney, who was my partner at the time, I was like, I don't think this is going to be very good. This is not like my normal stuff, but let's try it anyway. And it's the same choreography we do for whatever that is.
I know. I knew it was yours because I've seen it before.
But it was like so not what I usually do, and I found it was way too simple, and I was like, this is probably bull. And like I get so many compliments on it because it really did come from the heart and from my dream. So I think that not getting stuck in that groove, even if it's not a rut, it's a groove because it works and it's good.
Well, it can be a rut, right?
True. Yeah. Super true.
It depends on how deep it is, I think.
Do any of you have a classic move you use in everything?
Yeah, what's your signature move? Which one? You can only pick one.
Yeah, only one.
It's the run back.
I know that. I've literally put that in things, and I call it the K. Like, I don't.
And if I don't put it in a piece, the kids are like, what? you didn't. I was like, no, I didn't. They're like, but it would be perfect right there. I know it would be perfect, but I'm not going to do it. Not today.
What's your signature move, Natalie?
You know, I don't, my teachers could probably tell you my signature move. I mean, I feel like I have quite a few, but, you know, it's like when you see your own teachers in their choreography, you're like, oh yeah, you had to have that part in there. That's you. That's so you. But everybody has that.
What about you, Jordan?
That's a good question. I feel like I bounce between, I know I only get one, but I bounce between a little side to side jump or
I know that jump.
I do that a lot. And it just gets the blood going, I guess. And then I don't know. I use my arms a lot because they're really long, and so I've just kind of learned to use them as a tool and as an asset when moving. So they cut through space, real dynamic. So anything, lots of arms.
That's cool. So and Jordan, you're fairly tallish, right? You're about 6 feet.
No, I'm like 5'9", but I'll say 6.
6 feet ish. give or take 12 feet.
You know.
So I was just going to say, as a tall guy, learning to use my arms has always been something that is kind of challenging, and I've been self-conscious about my shape just because it's hard to. And I think that's something that has gotten way better because of dance. And
he used to have T-Rex arm when he was concentrating.
My right arm would like climb up here, and I'd have shifting around. And not a pretty sight. But it kind of brings us into the question that Travis has asked in the audience: as someone who's beginning in dance, what should they look for in a teacher? And I think that's a really valuable question. Mm-hmm. I think the first teacher of anything can really make or break passion for that avenue. So what do you guys have to say about that?
I think that it really depends on this is a hard question to answer because it kind of depends on what you want as a dancer. What do you want? What are your goals? Because for me, as an example, I only wanted to ever do musical theater or contemporary dance, never ballet. But and so that they're all important. They all matter. But just for me, in terms of the teachers I sought out, I really wanted teachers that I felt when they came into the room, they also had a lot of energy. And they were always they were very invested in us outside of the classroom, in the sense of like they're not just invested in you getting better in the class and as a dancer. They're always you ask them questions. They always are encouraging you to ask questions, but also someone that's willing to talk to you about the real world of dance. And what it's really like, the good, the bad, the ugly. That was important for me in finding that in a teacher. And so for some people who are starting out, that may be something to consider when looking for a teacher. How are they down to earth? Are they real? Are they going to be real with you? Or are they because some teachers don't want to be approached. They just want to go in the studio, do the class, and go home. So, that was not me at all. I wanted someone that was like, let's party together in the classroom. So, yeah.
I love that.
How about you ladies over on the right side of the panel?
I agree. You definitely have to have an outgoing personality, and you have to make the kids, especially if it's, studio setting like I have, where you have, younger children, high school kids, you've got to be able to relate to the students. You got to pull them in, make them, even if it's not something they're going to continue with, you've got to make them somehow love dance, So yeah, I would agree. Like having energy, having the personality, and it's very much being intimate with your dancers because it's like your little family. Like
okay.
It's not just in the studio. You are part of their lives outside of the studio. You know what's going on in their world. They have a problem, you listen. It's like family.
I love that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Kate, did you have anything to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to find, what avenue you're looking for. If you're looking for recreational, if you're looking for competition, if you're looking for more musical theater, I mean, you need to find, those teachers and those studios that hone in on what you want to do, because if if you want to be a competition dancer and you come to my studio, I don't do that. So I'm not the best fit for you. So
I think honesty is really important from student to teacher and teacher to student. I've had teachers in the past where I have really not liked them and I've wanted to do some other kind of dance, but I've been afraid to tell them because I'm like, oh, they're my superior, they're my instructor. I just have to do what they tell me. I think you know, if anybody is finding a struggle with their teacher, I think, you know, just sitting down and being like, hey, Natalie, I love you, but I don't want to be in the Nutcracker. You know, I bet you'd be like, well, Erin, I have something else for you.
Yeah.
There's something else
Right.
you need to do.
The big theme, it sounds like, is personal connection and personal investment. And just as someone who was beginning dance and still is a beginner, but was somebody who, understand, I was in theater my whole life, went to college for musical theater, was turned down from the program because of my inability to dance. And now I do it sort of partially for a living. And I can 100% vouch for the fact that finding the right teacher was the absolute key. And I think that's for anything. I think finding somebody that you as a student communicate and feel comfortable with, that's the most valuable connection, because that's always a two-way street. If your teacher isn't going to feel comfortable and communicative with you, neither of you are going to get anything out of that relationship. And if you do find the match, then you can just fly together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Agreed.
very, very important. I with our studio, I always offer, you know, if someone who calls in, emails, I just say, like, please come in and just do a trial class. You can do, you know, ballet, you can do tap, jazz, whatever. You know, see if it's a fit for you, see if it's a fit for your family. You know, just make sure it's the right choice for you, because there are many studios here in Winston. And, you know, like you said, you know, we all have choices, and there's something out there for everyone.
You know, that's an interesting thing too, because what TRAINcycle is all about, and the reason that I love the company so much, is that there are so many different kinds of dancers that do different things. You know, all age ranges, all skill levels. You know, if you want to take a beginner class, you know, Liz can put together something with all of you and then some. Or if, you know, it just is going to be honed in on one kind of thing, you know, it can be someone that does something very customized to your needs.
That customization is, again, fitting right back in with that personal connection, that personal investment, and that communication that I think is really the break or make, because I'm a pessimist, of a teacher-student relationship. Guys, we're coming close to the end of this, but I want to make sure that you guys get a second again to be featured for any words of wisdom, any closing monologues that you'd like to give. And go around the room. This has been awesome. I think people have gotten a lot out of this.
And also anything that you may have coming up that you'd like to promote. This is like your thing.
This is like your thing.
That'd be great. Let's start out, since you came in first, Natalie. Let's start with you.
Well, we actually have students who are performing at Youth American Grand Prix at Reynolds Auditorium this weekend. So we're excited about that. So yeah, that's one of our things that's coming up. And then we have a spring show in May. We're doing Cinderella and showcasing our jazz, tap, hip hop, that sort of thing. But
cool.
Stay committed to your craft.
Love that.
Stay committed to your craft.
Love
Thank
that.
you so much. Love that.
Jordan, you came into the room second. What do you have to say?
I have a lot, man, but I'm gonna try to keep it short, I guess. I don't want to do a whole monologue, but
just double time it. Play twice as much.
A few things. First and foremost, like I kind of said earlier, trust the process. It is a process. Dance is a process, and there's a lot of unlearning that has to happen in this dance world, especially today, with how we look at body types, how we look at what it means to be a professional, and how you get there. But just trust your process and learn how to self-advocate. Learn how to really fight for yourself in the room. It's important as a student that you learn to communicate with your teachers, and that you feel comfortable communicating with your teachers. And if you don't, find an ally to go to and figure out how to have that conversation, because you really are in control of your training. If you want to grow, that's up to you. And your teachers don't always know that there are things going on, or they may not be doing something that works for that I don't want to say works for you, but that may not work for you based on the kind of person you are. And so it's important to really understand that, again, that concept of self-advocacy and definitely trusting your process. And also, it's okay if you do this for a while and realize that you don't want to do it anymore. There's nothing wrong with pivoting. There's nothing wrong with walking away from it even for a short time and giving yourself some time to rest. Because again, like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in the world of dance, and there's a lot of trauma that comes with that. And so in order for you to navigate that, sometimes you have to step away and take time for yourself, and find a community to to unpack in, and feel safe, find a safe space, and then kind of figure out if it's worth you getting back into, and how you're gonna do that in a way that's safe and that works for you. I had to learn that lesson, so I'm giving that advice because I really had to figure that out, especially going to college, graduating from college, and trying to navigate my career as an individual artist, as a freelancer, because there's a lot of pressure to go do things the traditional way. Join a company, be this kind of dancer. What's your body type? How does that work with this particular aspect of dance or this avenue? And I had to do that unlearning for myself because I recognized that I didn't want any of that. And I wanted to do my own thing. And so I fought for myself, and I fought to do my own thing. And I've been doing really well at that. So it's important to really learn that. Yeah.
And that's great advice for life in general. That's 3 really valuable, specific nuggets of knowledge there that I'm glad you shared.
I feel like, Jordan, that last bit is so important. I've known friends that have been killing themselves because they're like, I was supposed to do this and this and this and this and this is, they beat themselves up every day. And I'm like, will you look at all the success you have? And I think that it's really hard for people because maybe they were supposed to be in a dance company and that was their end goal, but they don't see all the lives they're changing through the kids that they're teaching, or they don't see things that are right in front of their face. I love that advice. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What about you, Kay?
Follow your passion and drive, and evolve, evoke, and inspire.
Hey. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. All 3 of you are inspiring, wonderful people.
Yeah.
Appreciate the words of wisdom. I know I've grown.
Yes, and if anybody out there is watching, you can get in touch with any of these amazing trainers if you're interested in setting up lessons, online classes, workshops, seminars. Just go to the TRAINcycle website. You can see them and more artists as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us. See you guys later. And also, there is something coming up this weekend at TRAINcycle that we want to let you know about. This is going to be an amazing summit. It is taking place starting tomorrow. It is the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And there are some incredible things happening this day. If you don't have anything going on,
or even if you do,
exactly, make sure you check out the summit because there are Broadway folks coming on. They're going to be analyzing sound, and it's all about sound. It's going to be amazing.
Sennheiser is the presenter, and if you don't know what Sennheiser is, they're arguably the industry standard leading audio professionals. So it's kind of a big deal. It's a great value, and for being here today, you can get 50% off if you enter the code Take 50 off, which I think is pretty clever because
I would like to take
it's
50
what
off.
you're doing. So just one more look at that coupon. Check out that with the TRAINcycle branding, the colors, the gears. I'm vamping so you can write this down because there's no way to watch this later.
Actually, there is. You can watch this as many times as you want. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
And I'm sure you will because it's not just informative, it's entertaining.
Also, I loved our trainers today. I'm so happy that they were able to join us, and I'm so happy that you were able to join us. Thank you so much for being out there. Thank you for supporting artists. Guys, it is not an easy time for artists right now. So if you can
anybody.
support, that's true. But TRAINcycle is all about the artist community. If you can support an artist in any way, if you can get classes from them, if you can go through the TRAINcycle community for them, or even if you can just show them a little love on their Facebook pages, all of our trainers that were here today are on the TRAINcycle website, and you can check them out individually. Please do so and share the love and spread the joy.
And once again, it is the perfect time to try out a new hobby, enter a new zone of skill, make a big life decision, just try new things. We've got the time and the excuse because we can't do a lot of the things that we would normally be doing. So now's the time to try something that you wouldn't have done otherwise.
That's so true.
Okay. One more thing. We usually like to close with a little bit of our little personal mantra, our little words of wisdom. And that's you're in charge of 2 things in this life.
Yep. And one thing is your attitude. You can have the best or worst day that you choose, no matter what's being thrown at you. So even if you've had a rough day, remember a lot of it's up here, and just take a deep breath.
And that goes to how to interact. Especially you can hear stories with our panelists and things like that about if you are in a situation where someone's trying something new and you steer them in a direction that is making the act frightening, you might deter them from that. If you can encourage somebody who needs encouragement, you might change the course of their life and maybe even the world forever. Okay?
I love that. So change the world forever, guys. Thank you again for joining us. There are more trainer talks coming up. So just check out the TRAINcycle website. If you don't like and subscribe, do that now. Keep in touch, and we hope to see you soon.
By the way, the second thing you're in control of is effort.
Yes.